Hello, I'm Milan Czerwiński and you're watching TVP World Talks, where every word matters. Now we're moving on to the US elections. Just a few moments ago, we did a brief introduction about Tim Walz and the response on social media. But what does it really change in the Democrat campaign? Will Kamala Harris benefit from her choice of running mate? This and many more questions will be directed to our guest now, Tomasz Gackowski, Professor and Director at the Laboratory of Media Studies, University of Warsaw. Hello and welcome to TVP World.
Good morning. Good morning. Thank you for having me.
So, Professor, the first question, this choice. Some said it was a safe choice for Kamala Harris, that she could have actually tried capturing some more of the swing voters. But then again, this is also about rural America. So will this work? And what other considerations were taken into effect here?
I wouldn't say that it is a safe choice. I would say that it's a very rational choice. On the short list in the last few hours of the Monday yesterday, there was two names, Walz, who actually won this run, and Josh Shapiro. However, Josh Shapiro is much more younger than Kamala Harris. As you can see, Tim Walz is around 60 years old, and he is only a few months elder than Kamala Harris. So can you imagine that somebody will punch to the Kamala that he's got very, very younger teammate, like with Josh Shapiro, he's actually 51. So it would be some kind of issues with that the elder is the first one, and the younger one, how to communicate with this to more conservative electoral in the United States, that this elder woman will be the first one, Afro-American, Indian one, first woman, many firsts she's going to be if she wins. And at the same time, we have a Jewish American vice president who is very strongly support for Israel campaign in the war on Hamas. It can be too much to make a swing voters come to our camp.
So they decided against Josh Shapiro in favor of Tim Walz. One quick question here. So I'm assuming the age dynamics work differently than for the Republicans, because there we have Donald Trump. Obviously, right now, he is actually the oldest person ever to run for president after Joe Biden decided not to run. And we have a much younger candidate for VP.
Yes.
So are these dynamics actually working differently for the Republicans?
Correct. Donald Trump already said that VP doesn't matter. To be honest, he said it very strictly that he is the one, and who's going to be on the ticket, that doesn't matter. In some answers, when he was asking about that, he was asked about how he perceived J.D. Vance's recent comments about his being president and how he's going to be the next president if he will win. So Tim Walz is a very interesting proposal because he's a governor of the Minneapolis. He's a former army guy. He's a coach. He's a teacher. He even said in the evening last night that when they were speaking in Philadelphia that do not underestimate teachers, and he's got very applause about that because many teachers, they are symbolic for the United States, the lower and middle class guys that they need respect, but still they have plenty of problems with make their life affordable in this economic environment that we have after COVID era, after energy crisis and high inflation metrics that we get every month. Even though the CPI metrics right now are quite okay, so we hope that the United States in the next year will not jump to the recession. So this is the context that we have, that the guy from Minneapolis would be would help the Kamala Harris campaigners open for the guys that they can, be swinker voters, or they are not so support for Trump, and to make use of this negative electorate of the Trump that he have in the United States.
So does it also mean that the campaign is very much domestic policy oriented? We don't have anyone who is associated specifically with foreign policy. There were initially suggestions that apart from Josh Shapiro, perhaps Mark Kelly, former astronaut and very much a military man, might actually be on the ticket, but he is not. Well, you've mentioned that Tim Walz also has a past in the military, but he's not career military, right? That is not the most important thing in his career. So some would say perhaps there is not quite as much focus on defense, not quite as much focus on external threats. Do you think that this actually tells us something about this campaign, that it is turning inward rather than outward.
Yes, I would agree with that, that this is a very inside domestic campaign. And this is a quite big point for the Republicans, because they want to have the message, make America great again, America first. So because of that, Democrats, they just want to, clean it up, all the stuff inside, because they are the guys that they are running a country. So this is a different scope if being assessed by the voters what we have done through all the 4 years. And by the way, you have to be very cautious about how you explain this last 4 years, because you have Joe Biden as a president still, and he's going to be a very important person in all this geopolitical nightmare that we're witnessing for the many months. So yes, it is a very domestic one. There is not so many foreign affairs context. There is a plenty of migration. There is a plenty of economic agenda, and also there probably will be some information, I guess, in September, because we have to bear in mind that there is some parts of the campaign. So now it's a positive boost, what type of the VPs we're going to have. The second one, achievements. The third one, negative campaign. And probably with the negative campaign that Democrats are going to run, it's going to be Donald Trump will delete NATO alliance. Yeah, and this is the threat. And probably Kamala and Joe Biden would going to use European leaders to help them to put this agenda on the top. Yeah. In the same time, Republicans have to be in defense that no, we're not. We just want to be great again, also outside. And this is going to be the field that Democrats will going to feel, I guess, better, because this is a different agenda, like America First, Rust Belt, working with the middle-class families, how to make them fight with the inflation, what Federal Reserve with Jerome Powell should do on the September, and so on. So I guess that we're going to see some different stages of the campaign. And of course, in the end, the week before, maybe 2 weeks, it's going to be a new message. What's going to be on the future? And probably Democrats are going to say, oh, there's a big threat, Project 2025. We know that this is a kind of the issues for many Democrats, that they are afraid how their own country going to look like. But on the other side, Donald Trump is going to probably announce that I was fighting for this country. I shed the blood for that, and they're going to use this big epic picture with fists raised after assassination and try with his words, fight.
It's an emotional image, isn't it?
Yes.
Speaking of emotional messaging, and also, as you've mentioned, negative campaigns, there have been reports of the use of disinformation in the course of this campaign. Quite recently, Elon Musk has caused an uproar by retweeting a fake campaign ad from the Harris team and defending himself, saying, look, this is satire. This is parody. I'm not doing anything wrong. Thing is, that particular fake footage featured AI-generated voice of Kamala Harris, which made it sound quite authentic. What do you think is going to happen next if we're already reaching this sort of, basically this sort of narrative where pretty much everything goes, right?
I'm afraid it's going to be even worse in the future, unfortunately, not only in the US, but also in Europe. Elon Musk is a great agenda setter guy, so we cannot just, jump over it and just, said, oh, he regretted. No, he doesn't regret it. He said that this is the story that I want to provide, because he endorsed already Donald Trump. So we know actually for whom he is playing with. In the same time, we have times that we cannot believe in what we are seeing. Yeah, this is
seeing is not believing.
Seeing is not believing. It's much more uncomfortable. So we have conducted international research with about the misinformation and disinformation in Poland, Hong Kong, Netherlands, and United States with my colleague, with Professor Wojciech, and we find out that, of course, when we present some treatments how to deal with misinformation for our respondents on online survey experiment, we suddenly discover that, of course, fact-checking, digital literacy education, news reporting dedicated to some topics, they are helping people to find out if it is true or not. But in the same time, we witness that the skepticism for the whole bunch of media, not only this fake media, as we call using Trump voices, also going down. So you cannot, that people feel cognitive overload with all type of the media, and they resign also from the reliable media.
So it damages credibility of pretty much everyone. One quick question, because we are approaching, unfortunately, the end of the conversation. Isn't every method going to be too slow? Because sometimes the modus operandi, if you will, is let's basically release something into the open. People see it. Later on, we can even debunk it. Even our own fake news, we can actually debunk, saying, oh, this was a mistake. Still, people have already seen it. So this is actually spreading uncontrollably. And sometimes that's just the point. I mean, first impressions count.
Correct. Many years ago, Giovanni Sartori wrote that people are homo videns, so what I saw, what I believe in. And this is a big threat because media and AI, deepfakes, suddenly we discovered that we cannot believe in our senses. Yeah. So if we are not sure about our senses, we have to make some effort to invest some time to find out is it true or not. Who have the time for that? With the scrolling screens all the time, yeah? And this is the case that reliable mainstream media, politicians, journalism, I'm saying journalism not from also from the mainstream, they have to be much more credible, responsible, that people will say that, oh, I benefit from using this type of media, not this one. Yeah, and the platform, social media platform, they are not the answers. The promise that Mark Zuckerberg and Jack Dorsey, so the creator of the Facebook and creator of the Twitter, in recent times, they promised that they are giving the new time agora that everybody can share the views and it's going to be great. Yeah, it's going to be transparent. It's going to be pure. It isn't. Actually, it isn't, yeah, because they are not responsible for the content in the same time. However, the algorithms that they create, they project, simply give it us some news more, some news less. So this is a quite big challenges right now, and regulators all around the world, in the Congress, but also European Union, working on that. And I think that responsible for digital literacy should be implemented to every media budget. If not, regulator can give you some penalty, and if media will feel with the pocket that they are responsible more about the spreading the news, because 90% of the spreading the news is mainly mainstream media and big agenda setters and anchors like Elon Musk. So we can deal with that to help people.
So overall, this is one of the many challenges, and it's not just about the US campaign. As you've mentioned, this is a universal issue that is basically affecting us all on a very profound level indeed. Professor Tomasz Gackowski was our guest today on TVP World. Thank you very much for joining us and for sharing your expertise.
Thank you. Have a good day.
And I'm Tomasz Gackowski. You're watching TVP World. Please stay with us for more latest news and updates.